can they learn something about this offense if they just say, you know what, Jalen, rest that ankle, get ready for the run, for the final playoff run. Let's see this offense with Gardner Minshew.
That's tough.
Appreciate you tuning in here to Birds 365. It's a tough Tuesday, mostly because of the game against the Giants on Sunday, but the Eagles got some injury issues that they're dealing with. Here to give us a look at the Birds and injuries and offensive linemen and what's expected of them. And he's got some loud-ass watch on. What the hell is that watch, Brooks?
I love Invicta, so it's another Invicta. That's all.
Yeah, see,
that's what I do, man.
He's talking as if I know anything about that. What the hell kind of watch is it?
Invicta. They have big size face watches,
Invicta watches, Jerry.
Yeah. I like Invicta watches.
I like it.
Hold on, let me show you my watch.
There's another one.
Yeah,
there's my watch. It's called my cell phone. That's what I use to find out what time it is when I need to know what time
it is. Funny. I have a whole watch box filled of watches. I rarely wear them anymore, Barrett. I do. I go phone now. Occasionally.
I don't look at the time on them. Like half my watches.
Yeah, I never look. If I do wear them, I never look at the time.
Yeah, it's just for the style. Like if I'm, on TV and I have a suit on, I like to match my watch up with my suit or whatever it is. So that's what I do.
So you got swag, but you really don't know what time it is. Yeah. Okay, we got that.
They're all stopped anyways.
I got you.
Exactly. All right, man. I got about 15 watch batteries. Anybody got a good watch battery guy?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, let's start with Jack Driscoll. Let's go offensive lineman. We got a great offensive lineman here, as Jody said. At what point, man, Jack Driscoll gone for the season? I've been very impressed with Jack. I was surprised. I thought the move inside would not be good for him. He's had some issues, but I think Jeff Stoutland's done a really good job getting him up to speed. And all of a sudden he goes down. He's going to go on injured reserve. That means he's done for the season. Man, this team just keeps rolling out offensive linemen. Does it start to hurt with Nate Herbig? You saw the 2 holding penalties that obviously affected him against the New York Giants. But when does that pool drain? Or is Jeff Stoutland that good with these young offensive linemen?
I really think Jeff Stoutland is that good. You'll see a much better game out of Nate Herbig than you saw yesterday. On Sunday. Herbig, when he's in there, you change the offense. You don't run the same offense you do when you have a player to the caliber that you have with Kelsey.
No, wait, whoa. Hold on a minute, Barrett. They changed their offense? John was just telling me that's why they can't play Greg Ward.
Well, with
they're
Kelsey.
Dedicated to an offense, and they don't want to change it. But you're telling me an offensive lineman goes down and they change their entire philosophy on offense?
No, it's not the entire philosophy, but you do change their play selection and how you block those plays. See, with Kelsey, he's good enough and he's fast enough, quick enough, and athletic enough to pull him around the corner and go up there and block linebackers and safeties. Nate Herbig is nowhere near the athlete that Kelsey is. So when he does it, it's not going to have the same effect. He's going to have holding calls. He's going to be put in a position where he's not a good athlete to be out there in space against linebackers and safeties and things of that nature. Kelsey can do that. He does it very well, but Herbig is not going to do it. So you have to change your play selection. You can still run the ball. You just don't run to the outside as often with their play selection because we don't have somebody that can get that Mike linebacker. See, usually he's the guy that usually offensive lineman will go up through the straight through the line and up into all that wash. They usually get washed up and can't block a guy that's already outside where he's supposed to be blocking. Well, Kelsey's good enough to snap it and get around all that gush, gunk, and all that stuff, with guys falling down to get to the second level. So that's why they break free, because he's able to be a good enough athlete to get out there.
Yeah, real quick though, Barrett, to Jody's point, and I don't know if you noticed in Nick Sirianni's post game, he had to ask Bob Lang, who's the Eagles PR guy, if Kelsey came back in the game. Now, I don't know if that was because obviously he was out for a while. and it looked like he was going to be out, and he was lobbying to get back in. He comes back in. And Nick Sirianni got asked a question. He looked at Lang and said, he came back, right? So, I don't know if that was just the upsetness of losing that game but it shocked me. He was not on top of that. So I don't know how much they changed.
Well, they didn't change what they were calling, because that's where the holding call came in on the touchdown, on the Boston Scott touchdown. He pulled it around, and the linebacker undercut him. So he lassoed him around with his arm and got the holding call. It was a great play by him to even get out there. I was surprised he even was able to pull around and get out there and be there to make the block. But then you saw the athleticism of the linebacker running underneath him, and he had to turn around and hold him to keep him from making the play. There lies the problem. You still run plays. You just don't do it. In fact, you'll be more pressed now to run plays in the inside because you don't want him out on the edge like that. And not to say that he's a bad player.
Well, he's not Jason Kelce. Yeah. That's not an inside.
Right. He just doesn't. He's not at that level.
Yeah.
I just wonder, is Brandon Brooks ready to come back? We just put him in there. We can run whatever we want to run.
You heard what the coach said.
Yeah, Nick rolled him out.
He shot it down immediately and said, we're not even going to discuss him till after the bye week. It was like, don't bother me with that question. I don't know if he's disturbed or disappointed because they said it was going to be an 8-week injury, and we're already at week 10, and he's telling me, don't even talk to me for another 2 weeks. Yes, we're all hoping for Brandon Brooks to come back, but it does not look optimistic. All right, Barrett, here's my flexibility question that I have for you. Because John said yesterday, Nate Herbig as the center is like their fourth best center. That Kelce is more of a center and Dickerson is more of a center, but they've already got him entrenched, so they can't move him in there. So they begrudgingly have to put Herbig in there.
Isaac too, but he's gone.
And Sayamalo, right, who would be able to make the move from guard to tackle. So he's their fourth best center. How much is that incumbent upon the players to have flexibility, to be able to play multiple positions on the line, to, without much of a drop-off, go from guard to center, from left to right? How difficult is that? And is a guy like me, who never played a day of offensive line in his life, a jerk by going, come on, it's offensive line. What do you mean it's so difficult to go from center to guard? It's 4 feet. Move to your right. It's not that big a deal. Am I understating how difficult a task it is?
It's a lot harder what people think. People think you can just, put your hand down on both sides, you can come off the ball. But, it has a lot to do with how your body is made up and also, how your mind is made up. Because when you go from one side to the other, your power hand changes. And that's the biggest difference. If you're not used to that power hand being, the inside is your power hand when you're playing tackle or guard. You don't want anybody to beat you on the inside, so you always stay strong on that side. Well, if you go out there and you switch to the other side, and now your power hand's on the outside, you're more prone to getting beat on the inside. That's a major difference as far as, flip-flopping both sides. If you can do it, then it really makes you a jack of all trades. But it puts you in a position where you have to make sure you do that. But then you also have to look at the move from tackle to guard. When you move from tackle to guard, it's probably easy. It's a lot easier to play guard, but things get sped up a lot more, and you have to be a lot more physical to play in the interior as opposed to the outside. When you're a tackle, you're out there playing against great athletes, fast guys, and you're out there on an island, but you have more space to move and maneuver. You can go out there and you can dance with a guy, and hand fight with a guy on the outside. In the inside, it's none of that. In the inside, they're trying to run straight through you because you're the fastest way to the quarterback. So everything is heightened. Everything is going a lot faster, and it's a lot more physical because guys are usually bigger in the inside also. So you have to be powerful. You have to set more, stern when you're out there. And that's what Jake Driscoll had a problem when he first made the move in the guard. He wasn't as physical in there. He was still taking a tackle set. Once he learned to make those guards set, he turned out to be pretty good. And, you have to stay with your power hand because that's right there where the quarterback is. He'll get right up the field and be right here to the quarterback, as opposed to when you're outside, you could probably make a mistake and recover more so than when you're in a guard. You have to be more stout because quarterback usually steps in, and when he steps up to throw the ball, you can't be in his way. That's why, a lot of guys, quarterbacks hurt their hands because defensive linemen pushing the offensive lineman back. You can't let that happen. So it's just a difference in philosophy of how you're thinking. More aggressive on the inside. Outside, you can be a little more, not going to say, not as aggressive, but you can definitely recover from a guy on the outside faster than a guy on the inside.
Barrett, a couple things I want to get into here. We're going to talk about the quarterback situation, but before that, I want to talk about the final offensive play, and I want to get your perspective as a guy who looks at the film. To me, a lot of the fan base was upset, and they thought Devontae Smith was really, really open, especially when he turned up the field and started waving his arm. My thought process was Bradbury is a very savvy cornerback. He undercut that route for a reason because he knew he had safety help over the top. There was a very short window where Devontae was open. A guy like Aaron Rodgers can power that football in there. But if you don't make that decision, get the football out on time, he's not really open.
Yep.
From an NFL perspective. That's what I saw. Fans just saw the screen clip of a receiver asking for the football, not realizing how quick Xavier McKinney can get to that football if you're even a tick late, right or wrong.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, if you watch I think it was the first pick that he threw, it's kind of the same thing because Xavier McKinney was sitting over the top of the route on the first interception. And he looked like he was open, but he wasn't because it wasn't a bracketed play, but they were very aware on where everybody was on the field. And he was able to, to go out there and make a play. In fact, let me look at my notes. When I looked at my notes, I saw it, and I made sure that, I wanted to talk about it. Where'd my notes go? I wrote it down on my notes. Yeah, here you go. I wrote it down on my notes.
His notes are being blocked by his watch, folks. move the watch out of the way, you'll be able to find the notes.
Yeah, so they were very aware where Smith was a lot of the times during the day. So when he went out there, they almost had two people on one over the top and one the guy that's playing him man to man every single play. Same thing with Goddard. When Goddard crossed the formation a lot of the times, a linebacker would carry him, but there would still be a DB over the top, just in case. That's why a lot of the time Jalen Rigger was open, is because they made sure they put the earnest of coverage on those two. And they look like they're open, but they're not, because they have somebody always over the top or underneath to make sure, if they do catch the ball, they're going to stop them right then and there. And that's the dynamics of how guys are going to start playing the Philadelphia Eagles. The big thing to me is the reason why they did not have success on the offensive side of the ball, because they didn't run the ball efficiently, because they didn't try to run the ball efficiently. The Giants did something that nobody else has done for the past 3.5 weeks. They played two high safeties.
Yeah.
Even on plays with, with run formation with two tight ends in the game, they still stayed two high safeties. They only had 6 guys in the box. So as an offense, we should have ran the ball all day. 6 people in the box means you can run all day. We were running against 8 guys in the box and having success. There were only 6 guys in the box. That's a travesty. We didn't take advantage of that, that during that time. Why didn't we run the ball consistently when you have 6 guys in the box? Even in your 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. That's ridiculous. So what they did, they bracketed both guys like, usually do, and they felt good enough with their guys in the interior to stop the run. And that's the problem. How does a team play 2 high safeties against our running game? And the reason is because we didn't run the ball. That's, it's almost like forcing, if you look with, they did the Kansas City for a long time until they start getting it together and being more patient in their play selection and hitting the underneath routes, making sure they hit the shallow crosses, getting Kelsey back involved at the tight end. It wasn't until Patrick Mahomes started doing that the offense started working. Everybody played them too deep, so they didn't have to worry about it. Well, the same thing with Jalen Hurts is going to have to do the same thing, because there's going to be teams going to do it. They're going to play 2 high safeties because they don't trust the fact that they can man-to-man Smith or Goddard. That's just the nature of how they play defense in this league.
Barrett, you mentioned 12 personnel on 2 tight ends. Now, no, the Eagles played a ton of it last year before Nick Sirianni ever got here. Doug's last year. They played a bunch of it for the first several games of this season until they finally decided to trade Zach Ertz, even though Ertz had been traded by certain media members here in town 2, 3, 4 times prior to his actually going to Arizona. We've seen very little 2 tight end, and anytime they run 2 tight end now, it's a running play. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'd go back and research it, and I'll tell you, 12 tight ends that equate to a run, about 98% for the Eagles since they've gone to 12 tight end since Mr. Ertz has taken his act to Arizona. How about 12 tight end, and we actually try and pass the ball? That put Tyree Jackson out there, who they certainly let us know was a guy that they were opening up more playing time. That's why they traded Zach Ertz, because they had other tight ends on the roster that they wanted to develop and give a chance to and see if they could. Tyree Jackson gets 5 snaps a game.
Right.
Why don't we think about that? I know there was the notion of what the Eagle offense was supposed to be before the season started. Well, they moved away from it enough to become a pretty dominant run team. Why can't they move back to some 12 personnel to get Jalen Reagor off the field? I'm doing whatever I can to get Jalen Reagor off the field, and 12 tight end personnel. If you can tell me Greg Ward is too freaking slow and he can't get separation from anybody, and nobody would believe a Greg Ward power sweep, well, then why don't we go back to 2 tight ends? We made that work before.
You know what? This would be the only time that they ran 12 personnel they passed out of, and it didn't work because, like I said, they had a 6-man box, and they should have just ran the ball on it. But the 3 weeks before that, I really think they should have run 12 personnel and run a play action pass off of it, because everybody was in the box. If you had 8 and 9 men, 7 and 8 men in the box, that means it's going to be hard for you to run because you have 2 free hitters then, 2 guys that are open. But that offensive line moved people off the ball so much and power blocked them down the field that they would get caught up in the wash, and we were still able to run the ball. Well, I don't know why they changed their philosophy, but they did pass the ball in 12 personnel as opposed to running it. They should have ran it this time instead of trying to pass it. But 12 personnel can really help this team out because, number one, it helps with the play action. It gives you the illusion that you're going to run, number one. Number two, it defines the defense on what they're doing. It makes you put a guy back in the box. It makes you, see who's going where and if it's going to be man-to-man. It really opens things up for a quarterback and makes it easier to read for a quarterback. And I really think that, Tyree Jackson is a guy they want to implement in the offense. And like you said, I feel sorry for the kid. I feel sorry for Jalen Reagor, man. But this is a performance-based sport. If you're not going out there and you're performing, you got to sit on the bench. You got to sit down, man. There are too many other good players. You could put in, not just Tyree Jackson, but you can, go to, your running back and put him in the slot. Put 14 in there. Put the rookie in there at the slot because he's not really becoming an impact player. You got to put somebody in there that can make some plays happen. Even in the punt return game, he's done nothing in that either. Try out the young guy there. At this point, we're trying to find people that can go out there and be explosive players. He is shown not to be an explosive player, so why not put a guy like Kenneth Gainwell at the slot position or put Kenneth Gainwell, in a position to return punts? See if we can find somebody to give us a healthy dose of athleticism at those 2 positions. Jalen Reagor is just not doing that for us right now, and he's becoming, almost an anchor to the offense because when he is open, he's not going to catch it. And that's a problem.
Barrett, I know I got limited time with you, so I do want to move on to the quarterback position for this reason. You bring up, and I was a little surprised early in the game, they were trying to throw the football. They were trying to do different things. They ended up being very successful running for 200 yards again, and Jalen Hurts is a big part of it. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts should be benched, deserves to be benched, or anything of that nature. But I do think there is a unique opportunity here because he tweaked his ankle. And you're playing the New York Jets, and there's a bye week after that. Could you learn something about this offense if Gardner Minshew plays one game and then you go back to Jalen Hurts after the bye and you use the ankle injury as an excuse? We've talked about this mentality. You have to evaluate the quarterback position. You're trying to serve two masters. You're also trying to make the playoffs. The Washington football team won last night. They're the number 7 seed. You're only a half game behind for that final playoff spot, and you play Washington twice. So you're still in it. But Howie Roseman's got two different things going here. Can they learn something about this offense if they just say, you know what, Jalen, rest that ankle, get ready for the run, for the final playoff run. Let's see this offense with Gardner Minshew.
That's tough. But you know what really turns my head to say that could be a possibility is this coaching staff really has no allegiance to Hurts at this point. You know, he was there when they got there. So I could possibly see that happening, but you would have a fan base that would go absolutely nuts if they did that.
But not if you blame it on the injury. Say he's not ready. He's not ready.
Well, you could do that, but and
he might not be ready to go. I mean, if you think about Jalen Hurts' impact as a player, if you take away his mobility, you got a problem, even against the New York Jets.
It'll take away probably 3/4 of his game. It'll take, you know, because the defense won't be looking for him to run if he's like that. So they'll probably do less and go to coverage and not even worry about his ability to go out there and make plays. What that could do would be twofold if you put Gardner Minshew in it, because this offensive line is a run blocking offensive line, and they do struggle with the pass. I don't know if you could really put them guys in a position to go up there and change the offense that much when they've been struggling against blocking pass plays. You'll probably put Gardner Minshew in a bad position because, you know, he's going to want to throw the ball. They're going to have to change the offense for him to probably a pass-heavy game just because he's that type of quarterback. You know, it changed really the dynamics on how you approach the game and game planning and everything else. Well, I mean, that is a possibility because they owe Jalen Hurts nothing. You know, at this point, they've given him the reins and he's taking the reins and he has some success, but it's really not enough success to really, you know, galvanize him into being the starting quarterback for next year. So that could be a definite possibility. And if they do it, if it's because of this injury, you know, they could get away with it. You know, Howie Roseman will say, you know, we just have to do it out of necessity, you know, and that could happen, but I wouldn't do it though. But I can see them as an organization.
Right, let me take John's point or position and further it. They decide we need to take a look at Gardner Minshew. We need to see the Eagle offense with Jalen Reagor as your third wide receiver, with someone else pulling the trigger. The quarterback is ready to play. He's not 100%, but you ask him, he's going to say, I'm good to go. So the coach has to come front and center and go, Jalen's ankle isn't good enough. Well, his teammates are going to be able to talk to Jalen. They're going to be able to see Jalen. They're going to see him on the sideline. They're going to know that Jalen wants to go, and this is a decision made by the organization, not because Jalen's hurt, that they're pulling him. They can tell John McMullen and Barrett Brooks and everybody else that, Jalen can't play because of his ankle. But Jalen and his teammates will know how much of that decision is because of his ankle or how much is it because, as John just suggested, they want to see the offense with somebody else running it. If they did that, how much of a backlash would there be in the locker room after the game?
It would definitely be a backlash because, you know, this team has really put Jalen Hurts in a position. He is their leader. You know, they rally behind him. They believe in Jalen Hurts. So there will be some guys that'll be a little pissed off, you know, that they make this decision. Be kind of like the same decision they did last year during the playoff. Well, to keep the Giants out of the playoffs, and we lost the last game to Washington because of that. You know, they knew that he can go out there and play, and if he just stayed in the game, they probably would have won that game. They took him out. So it would cause some unrest because it'll just show the organization is not really trying to win as much as these players are trying to. These players are really putting forth the best effort they can to win. They have not given up on this season. They're still fighting, scratching, and clawing out there. And to do that would really put bad taste in their mouth, because it just shows how disloyal the organization is, number one. Number two, that, none of these guys are safe on this team. And they understand that anyway. It's a what have you done for me lately league. They understand that. But it would just put them in a bad source, definitely.
And let me throw in real quick. I don't think the Eagles would do it at any unless it was a true 50-50 situation, unless he was a true game time decision where it was going to come down to, all right, go out on the MetLife turf before the game and we'll see how you are. I think then they might err on the side of caution. They have that plausible deniability, but they would enjoy. I think the part that I think is true is that they would enjoy seeing this offense. And more importantly, that's probably a bad word. More importantly, they would gather information on this offense. Is it limited because of Jalen Hurts, or is it limited because it's limited? I think that would be valuable for Howie Roseman more than anybody else to evaluate the quarterback situation in 2022. Nick Sirianni, though, he's trying to beat the Jets. He's trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's the difficult sort of balancing act.
Well, yeah, and like I said, he doesn't have any loyalty to Jalen, but those two are tied to the hip. They're both lifting each other. They're climbing up the ladder of learning this offense and learning who they are as a team. It would put him in an awkward position if they made him do that. But, I've seen worse things than that happen, a lot during the league. So, it's just one of those things where this could possibly be what they need to, like you said, gather intel on what this offense really is. And, is Jalen Hurts really the guy? Can I just put anybody in there and the offense just run and be successful? Or is it because of Jalen Hurts that this offense is running the way it's running, And you just like you said, it'd be valuable intel for him. It would really turn a lot of decisions they make right now about these 3 draft picks in the future. I know they're burning a hole in Howie's pants right now, just like money. Well, hey, them draft picks are burning a hole in his pants. He want to get out and do something with them so bad. This will probably be the gauge of which direction he would go in this offseason. Just right, one game.
Let me reference a different aspect of the Eagles. We know the final score would happen on Sunday. They lost the Giants 13-7. I thought the Eagles were going to win by double-digit points. I thought they were on a roll. I thought that the running game was that effective. I think the Giants, I think they played smart. I think they came in well coached. I still don't think they're a very talented football team. Was part of the problem Sunday that the Eagles were smelling themselves a little bit? That maybe winning 3 out of 4 and listening to media members like Jody McDonald, John McMullen, Barrett Brooks that tell them they're going to win by double digits and they could put a winning streak together. Did they get a little overconfident or a little too cocky? I know it's tough to do without being in the locker room, Barrett, but that's what we do. We got to try and judge the performance after the fact and the way the guys carry themselves. Did they come into this one a little overconfident?
I do think they did read the press clippings a little bit. It was a bunch of data boys going on Thanksgiving, what I'm saying, guys coming on, hey, data boy, wait, great job. Couple too many data boys, at the Thanksgiving dinner. But at the end of the day, they had a chance to win, and that Giants team stinks, man. Anytime you get 4 playovers and 4 turnovers and then you still
and they barely won.
13 points.
Yeah. That's just ridiculous. So they lost to a team they shouldn't have lost to. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. At no point during that game did I feel as though the Eagles were gonna win it. They just didn't seem like they were totally vested in it.
I thought the exact opposite, Barrett. At no time did I think they weren't going to win it until Jalen Rager dropped the football. That's how. But that was about the Giants. That's about how bad the Giants were. And I want to split this up into 2 things with the Giants. I thought Patrick Graham, their defensive coordinator, I thought he did a great job. I really did. I thought he put together a good plan for what he had. But that offense, I mean, and part of it is they didn't have a lot of their playmakers, and the playmakers they did have are banged up. And Saquon obviously isn't what he once was. Kadarius Toney or whatever, he wasn't available. We know Daniel Jones. We know how bad that offensive line is. They changed from Jason Garrett to Freddie Kitchens. Yeah, how do you lose that football game? Other than you're 5-6, and there were a lot of boys, as you said, Barrett. I mean, they took this team for granted, from my perspective.
Yeah, but just from the flow of the offense, the way it was rolling, and defensively, little things like we have to write up a prediction for NBC Sports Philly, and my biggest prediction, my reason the Eagles need to win this game, the only reason they couldn't win this game is that they allowed Daniel Jones to get those crucial first downs with his legs. Not necessarily, they needed to stop the run, but more so stop Jones from running. And I thought that was going to be the big key on how they would win the game if they were able to do that. Another thing I also thought that, when I was watching the game is everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Eagles. The entire first half. I mean, even going into halftime with the pick, I'm like, why don't you just kick the ball? Kick it, and we go in 3-3 tied going in. We have the ball when we come out. Just little things like that. I was like, what is going on? Why are we, just not going ahead and just dominating this team? We were clearly the better team. Clearly we were the better team. Things just didn't fall into place for us, The mere fact we let Kenny Golladay, have a good game against us, that I just didn't understand why these things were happening. That's why I never felt as though we were going to win the game, because we never took hold of the game and took it away from the Giants. I felt like the Giants just held the ball and just kept it away from us. We didn't just go out there and just dominate them like we should have dominated. That's why I was thinking that, man. I just didn't feel right, man. I had that uneasy feeling because we weren't going out there and intimidating them like I thought that we were.
Golladay did make some big third down grabs. I think give him at least credit for that much. All right, so if they did overestimate their ability to beat and or dominate the Giants, does all that go away with this week? They got the Jets. They're a bigger favorite against the Jets than they were against the Giants. And oh, by the way, Jets won last week. What's the mental attitude of the team in the locker this week with the way the game went and with the opposition being who it is on Sunday?
Oh, they're gonna beat the hell out of the Jets. I'm telling you, because they're gonna come back. They're like, look, we can't have this. I don't care who's the quarterback. They are gonna dominate the Jets simply because that's just what they do against the Jets. They got to get this taste out their mouth.
That's
Losing
true.
to a team like that, they will not do it 2 weeks in a row. Also, I don't know if you heard Ray Diddy. He came up with a stat. The Eagles have never lost.
Yeah,
They never lost to the Jets. Yeah,
and that's huge. That's big. That's big. So hopefully we keep it going, man. And this team finally realizes they're not as good as everybody's saying they are, and pat them on the back, but they're not as bad as the way they looked last week.
It's strange as it sounds, especially against the Eagles and the way they play defense. I'm much more concerned about Zach Wilson than Daniel Jones.
Yes, me too. Me too.
At least he can throw the football, and if he gets hot, you let him get hot. Maybe things can go in a negative direction. But I'm with you. They can't lose the New York Jets. They won't lose the New York Jets, unfortunately for Jody Mack week. But Barrett Brooks, our buddy, NBC Sports Philadelphia, the middle, too, with Harry Mays here on the JAKIB Media YouTube page. Jody, like, share, and subscribe. You can listen to Barrett all the time.
Like, share, subscribe us. Like, share, subscribe Barrett. Like, share, subscribe Cilio. Just keep the JAKIB Media YouTube channel on all day and just keep clicking. Do us that favor. We need it. Barry needs it. He needs a new watch.
Yeah.
The one that he's wearing is getting a little old on it. BB, always a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Barrett.
Barrett Brooks here with us on Birds 365.